fasting period, and that is pending. That is pending. This was next date is 6th of 16th of
maybe 15th. You can join the VC. There's no doubt.
So maybe we allowed.
Your Lordship,
VC.
Your Lordship, our presence may be recorded.
Yes, yes, yeah, present record. Mr. Attorney General, will now do a very
Today I can be accused of a Madrasi bias.
pleasant but sad, very, very sad duty of I have to preside over this reference to bid farewell to Brother Ram Subramaniam as a very distinguished colleague, good friend, and a judge of our court. May I request the learned Attorney General to say a
So I said, well, I will reserve my evening goes on merit for a great judge. A 4-year period being too small for him or too short for him to make more indelible marks in this court. I said I can be accused of a Madrasi bias because we have sort of Madrasi connection. But beyond this court engagement and his contribution within a very short period, less than 4 years, there are other remarkable things which this learned judge has grown with him, brought with him, and made it part and imprinted on the judicial process. And something leaves me speechless when I find that in a serial, in what called a book called Word Hunt in Tamil, very difficult to translate it so easily. And you have a person who participated in this process of Word Hunt, compiled as a book, and then, and when behold, a life convict in a jail comes and receives the first copy of this, publication, where the dais is shared by the honorable judge. Something very remarkable. And the same quality of, enduring quality of being a humble human being, he brought in, I think, in almost all the days he has spent in his court. And finally, the cryptocurrency judgment will remain with us, opening up new chapters of understanding the financial and economic dimensions of emerging laws in our country. And when that judgment was cited repeatedly in the election, the demonetization case, I think we learned many things on how to read a judgment for the first time, a new judgment, opening up new chapters, how to read a judgment. We did it with the engagement of the Ram Subramaniam together in the court. Remarkable days, and I'm sure with his contribution in the court, and he's going to travel beyond. We know that what he's likely to do, not in any manner of office and things like that, but his wide scholarship and erudition. I'm sure he'll be a great asset to the nation.
Solicitor General.
Please, Lord, thinking that Justice Rama Subramaniam is leaving this institution, my Lord, 4 things come to my mind. First, your Lordship's very amiable nature. Nobody felt any element of hesitance in arguing before your Lordships. Second, Lord, it is said that 2 senses, the humanity is, there is a diminishing quality, my Lord, in 2 senses. A, sense of humor, and second, common sense. Your Lordships had both in abundance. Lord, extraordinary common sense and a brilliant sense of humor, which all of us would miss. Third, nobody could create a nuisance value in your Lordship's court. Your Lordships never took nonsense lying down, and that quality is brute courage, which is, my Lord, required, and nobody should, my Lord, tinker with the goodness of a judge, my Lord. That's what the message your Lordships are leaving. And fourth, the energy which your Lordships exhibited at 10:30 and the smile on your Lordship's face at 10:30 remained the same even at 4 o'clock. And if we happen to meet after 4 o'clock in some official function or so, with the same energy level, same smile, and the same sense of it, your Lordships would really be missed. Of course, your Lordships, my Lord, we would keep on troubling my Lords in whichever capacity your Lordships would contribute. but your lordships, my lord, scholarship in subjects other than law, for example, Sanskrit, scriptures, etc., would also, my lord, help the generations to come. I wish your lordships a very healthy life, a very peaceful life, and please continue to, my lord, encourage us. Thank you.
Mr. Agarwal.
We fully endorse the views of Honorable Attorney General and Solicitor General. And I have the opportunity of appearing before Lordship when I was the Additional Advocate General of Tamil Nadu. That time and here also, he's so sober, everybody we used to go but down before.
Mr. Venkataraman.
But let me imitate the style of Brother SG. Three things. But Lord Rao has transcended 3 yugas and he is worshipped even today because of 2 reasons. Satya and Dharma. Please allow us to call you fondly once. Justice Ram will remain in the hearts, the advocates, not only in Supreme Court, across, because you cherish this as your values, in core values in life, preserving Satya and Dharma all throughout your judicial career. 2, your lordships have dispensed judgments across different branches of law, which most of the judges could have done. But your USP is not only that. Sometimes law and justice system requires innate cleverness, innate astuteness. Very unique. You will be extremely courageous. You will use the tool of law. You will use the tool of Satya and Dharma and break path-breaking judgments in that area. To cite one is going to be that a judgment rendered a few days ago. I'm not repeating what I say. Justice Nagamuthu, my lord, retired judge of our court and a renowned classical criminal jurisprudence lawyer, said this PMLA judgment will get carved, chiseled in the history of citations and stay forever in the Indian jurisprudence on PMLA. The third, many here know only as a great judge, but at least in North India, your scholastic knowledge on our scriptures, he is considered to be a scholar among scholars in Ramayana in Tamil Nadu. Scholar among scholars. When he's invited for great debates on Ramayana, he's not invited as a ceremonial head because he's a judge of the Supreme Court. He's invited because he's respected as a scholar among scholars. So you will now be sharing your post-retirement time because many will chase you, sir, no doubt. But I think Kamban Kazhagams across the world would have booked you for the next few years also to dispense. You have a duty also to discourse on this legendary tradition of this great holy land. You are ultimately a man. You have said this to us as young lawyers. We have heard you when you said this in the bar as a judge. Nobody can make me angry because you have said that a man who is angry, he always shows a sign of losing. I don't want to lose in life. That's the spirit. Should always keep winning in your life. Best prayers.
The Advocate General is also here.
Yes, Advocate.
9, Mr. Shanmugasundaram. May I request you to say a few words?
I'm very grateful for the opportunity given. I know Justice Ram Subramaniam from the day he started his practice in the Madras High Court, and I have appeared before him several occasions. Of all the occasions, I found that he knew more facts and law than me whenever I appeared. And such a thorough judge is expected, and may his tribe increase. Not then the other aspect I want to tell about Justice Ram Subramaniam is he's a great Tamil scholar, and I'm a fan of his YouTube lectures, speeches, wherever he gives on Ramayana and so many other Tamil literature. And so with the judge with such a literary blend of mind, he is also expected. I wish him well. I wish him happiness, health, all through the life. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gopal Shankaran.
Lords, I wanted to start by saying My apologies that in the last 3 weeks, many of us have besieged him in his court with two extremely heavy matters in the last 3 weeks. Most people would have just popped it off after vacation, especially when one of the sides decided to file a 3,000-page convenience compilation. It's most demoralizing when you walk into court and then Justice Ramasubramanian says, page 1537, right? June 4, 1962. And you just don't know how he has figured out what is there on that page in such a short space. I mean, his intellect is massive, his capacity to work is immense. And what I have always been surprised by is for a gentleman whose first language was Tamil for the better part of his life, his felicity with the English language, how he could marshal facts and arguments and move them into a compelling judgment, distilling principles rather than taking out paragraphs, is magnificent. I mean, it is a huge loss to the court in many, many respects. His patience, his wit, of course, has been touched upon. He would never lose an opportunity to crack one if he had it. His literary allusions, ranging from Shakespeare and Alexander Pope to some of the finest writers in domestic literature as well, are all embellishments to the quality of judgment writing in this court. And of course, we know from Justice Ramasubramanian from many, many accounts that all of us have heard about his expertise in the Tamil language. I remember Justice Nariman, after he stepped down once, he himself being an expert in comparative religions, once we were just talking about judges of the court, and he said, Justice Ramasubramanian, in typical Justice Nariman style, brilliant, magnificent. So, I mean, we don't need more people to replicate just that sentiment that we all have, and it's such a loss for the institution. But we just hope that you will continue in Delhi and we'll have the opportunity to meet you again very, very often. Grateful for everything that you've given us.
Dr. Singhvi?
Well, I think when Justice Ramasubramanian joined law and then the judiciary, there was a huge loss to several diverse vocations. His interest in interfaith surprises me. His knowledge of history never ceases to amaze me. He's a linguist par excellence, or at least in linguistics. Most important, his racontier's performance on the bench and off the bench. And above all, his one-line witticisms. We've been pestering him. I just told him yesterday that he must compile them and not claim trademark or copyright rights on that. Along with such great, diverse, versatile talent, he's always been unfailingly smiling, unfailingly courteous, and yet firm and fair. So we wish him well. We only wish that with his so many diverse, versatile interests, he also gets some rest in retirement.
Yes. Lord, Justice Ramasubramanian is very spiritual. So I want to make one appeal. In Agni Puran, there are so many chapters on property laws, so many provisos are there. So like so many Purans, our ancient literature have so many law facts, provisos. So if Lordship is giving time on that and research, and that will be connected to these current laws, and we should not have a dependency on UK laws more. So our ancient culture is very great, and Lordship have this spiritual base, and we all want to help Lordship in this meeting.
Mr. Manoj Mishra.
Yes, on behalf of Advocate on Record Association, Madam, he shared the same views as expressed by President Senior Madam. We pray to Almighty that Lordship have post-retirement, happy, healthy, and prosperous.
Colonel Balch.
Yes, sir. My lords, like they say, my lords, the judges speak through the judgments. My lords, you are one person, my lords, you have spoken your mind in all the judgments that you have delivered in this court. My lords, apart from that, I would say, my lords, a person who owns integrity and honesty, that's your hallmark, my lords. In fact, you are second to none. As far as whatever I have learned, that your integrity and honesty is par excellence. And we actually, my lords, learned a lot during the court proceedings. And also, as everybody had said, my lords, your skills in literature, and especially in Tamil, my lords, Tirukural and Kambaramayanam, etc., my lords, is of a great, my lords, with authority, my lords, one can say. We wish, my lords, a very pleasant innings, and my lords, and with great health and happiness to all.
On behalf of the Army Council Association, we are wishing to happy, healthy, and prosperous life. And I also wish to the family members they will have the company of Justice Ramasubramaniam. So I again wish to happy, healthy, but I see in the court every advocate feel familiar while doing argument. Justice Subramaniam never angry with the junior lawyers and any other advocates. Thank you.
My Lord, Honorable Justice Ramasubramaniam, apart from being the knowledge and expert of Tamil language, he has written so many important words. He has written also created some new words. He has written some articles and so many other achievements, what he achieved other than the legal sapphire. I will mention one incident when there was a function and Lordship came to the president of the bar and he said that he was wearing multicolored shirt. Lordship said that this color is very nice shirt. After some time again, Lordship came. He said, you know, this shirt was actually one villain, popular villain was wearing this shirt. Immediately he changed his shirt. After within 5 minutes, he went to his car and changed the shirt. This is a kind of bit of my lords. Actually, we have seen so many occasions. I wish very happy and prosperous life, my lord, and best regard to all the family members.
Brother Justice Ramasubramaniam, members of the bar, I should be saying Ram because that's how I've always referred to him on the bench. 38 years ago, in July of 1985, I entered the courtroom where my father presided over for the first time and the last time, on the day that he was bidding farewell to this court. Looking at Brother Ram's family here, I'm sure that they will join us now in really understanding in a very profound way why he is worshipped at the court, at the altar of this court. I met Justice Ramasubramaniam for the first time in Tamil Nadu Bhavan when I was the Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court, and his dear friend and Chief Justice, Justice Sanjay Kaul, and I were working on something together. Ram's humble persona immediately stuck to me. But it was only after he was elevated as a judge of the Supreme Court that I realized that he is in every which way truly a multifaceted and multi-talented judge and human being. Alongside his day job, which he carries with so much of aplomb, he pursues other passions in Sanskrit, Carnatic music, in Tamil literature. And rarely did a week go by when I didn't get a WhatsApp forward from Ram, not just of something brilliantly evocative in Carnatic music, but something equally evocative in traditional Maharashtrian abhangs. So he is not confined by borders, whether of nation or of state. I shared the bench with Justice Ramasubramaniam for a short period of time, first in 2022. But we more than made up for the lost interaction between court proceedings outside the court hall. My interactions with my distinguished colleague have always left me pondering if there is anything at all that is left for Justice Ramasubramaniam to read, because he's read everything. Now I'll let out a secret. I've been struggling to persuade Brother Ram to take up the post of the chairpersonship of any tribunal that is available that he can actually select. But he has declared to me that he has this will to be a free citizen, untrammeled by judicial office. But I've never forgotten my days as a persistent member of the bar. And I continue to persist in the hope that he will agree to my earnest appeals to him, because we do not want Ram to be away physically. He'll, of course, be close to our hearts. These are relationships which are forged for a lifetime and beyond. But I only earnestly hope for myself and for the institution that he will, not for a change, but as usual, accept the appeal of his Chief Justice. Thank you, Brother Ram, for your service to the Indian judiciary. Justice Ram Subramaniam has an innate ability to separate the grain from the chaff. Whenever I've sat with him on the bench, I've found that he rarely makes a note. He'll scribble a few words, but he's spot on. Even before the lawyer has entered into that area, he'll whisper to the colleague with whom he's sitting on something which is really the essence of the case and something which lies beyond perhaps even the pages and the dark print of the case. But above all, the court halls would be less lively without your jests and humor. I think one of the reasons why our days went off so well in your company was because in the coffee lounge, when you entered, you would always bring laughter and joy. And you carried your learning, and you've always carried your learning with such a sense of humility, which is truly the hallmark of an elevated soul, a soul which knows so much, but doesn't pride itself for knowing so much. I think that really, truly sums that up for my very distinguished brother. I can go on and consume the entirety of the lunchtime, but I have a lot to speak in the evening, so I'll reserve that for the evening when we meet at the SCBA farewell function. May I now request Brother Ram to say a few words.
Respected Chief Justice, my brother Justice Narasimha, learned Attorney General, learned Solicitor General in absentia, the learned Additional Solicitor General, the President of the Supreme Court Bar Association and other office bearers, the President and office bearers of SWARA, the learned Advocate General of Tamil Nadu who is joined us online, the learned Advocate General of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh who are physically present here, one in hiding and one in the front row. Respected senior advocates, because nobody escapes my attention. My dear members of the bar, my friends who have traveled from Chennai to attend this function, my family members. It's really a humbling experience that so many of you have spoken good words. Normally, a farewell is marked either by the retiring judge shedding tears or one of the speakers shedding tears. But I am not capable of shedding tears because I always permeate happiness. The result is that none of you will also shed tears on my departure. In fact, when Honorable Justice K.V. Vishwanathan was sworn, I saw one of his former colleagues virtually in tears. So I called her and asked her, why were you weeping? She said, there were tears of joy. Then I said, I have a worry. Suppose on my farewell, if you weep, I will not know whether they are tears of joy. Oh, tears of sorrow. Then that lawyer said, all right, I will avoid attending you. But one thing I know, when all of you say good words on an occasion like this, that none of you is in the witness box. Therefore, you are not on oath. Only a person who is on oath is supposed to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And in farewell addresses, it is legitimate. Even our Shastras say that whenever you give a farewell address, you keep truth outside the gate. I think all members of the bar who praised me, they praised me for my expertise in Ramayanam, my court craft, humor, etc. I was just reminded of what happened in the case of one of the former Chief Justices of Madras High Court. He was a great scholar in Ramayana and Tamil literature by himself. So on his farewell, everybody praised him as a scholar in Tamil language, Ramayana, etc. And additionally, they said he also wrote some good judgments. That's not the way all this is done. The Honorable Chief Justice, more of his intention to keep me by his side in Delhi, that he made several offers to me to take up the assignments. It is true, but I turned down the offer. I turned down the offer by one sentence because it's all as all of you have now realized, I am famous for one-liners. I told the Chief Justice that if you insist upon my taking up the post of chairman of any tribunal, then I will have to end up filing a CIRP before the NCA. That I think that was the reason why at last he decided to spare me. Lastly, see, when I was really worried, today the farewell started. I mean, the ceremonial benches started by 11:40 or so. When the clock was ticking away, time was going away, I thought my ceremonial bench will almost assemble at 1 o'clock during lunchtime. And I think it will be empty chairs. So I requested somebody to ensure that the canteen is closed. Ceremonial bench is over. I think even without that, all of you have showered your love and affection on me. I thank you very much. Just as the learned AG has reserved something for the evening farewell, I have also reserved something for the evening farewell. Why I am saying this is that I don't want to miss this crowd. I always have a problem with this mic. Before the mic, I told SORA members that before the mic, I have a starting problem. But once I start, I have a stopping problem. But I will not do it now. I thank you very much. I take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Chief Justice who has been extra kind to me, even at the cost of some of my own colleagues thinking that he is extremely biased towards me. I thank all of you.
Open up, person. Open up.
Dr. Singhvi, we've been, from last evening, we have been getting an incessant flow of material on in the electronic form. Now we are in rejoinder. In rejoinder, we get 500 pages of material.
I am not the culprit, Wallace, at least fortunately. I give mine. I've got 6 more paras, Wallace. I'm not.
Right. Justice Bhatt called it an electronic dump, you know.
It's an electronic dump. Anti-dumping philosophy. You will not permit dumping and.
Well, at least 3 of us are not the guilty party, Wallace.
On the lighter side, I've joined the proceedings physically to make sure all of you finish quickly.
By 3 o'clock. By 3 o'clock. We finish at 3 o'clock.
I'll be very quick. Your Lordship has
Only
now,
points.
Wallace,
Just points now, yeah.
Only points. I've only got a few paras to read. Will hardly take 15 minutes. Wallace, your Lordships has heard the trend of my arguments yesterday.
Yes.
Your Lordship knows the Wallace angularities, if I may say so, and the Wallace pointed thrust of it. It is not a perfect world in the world in which we are projecting. We respectfully agree and bow down that there are angularities. But Wallace, for a matter like this, my only submission is that these are angularities which your Lordship have in the past surmounted and should and can do it in this case. So I'm not projecting a perfect world. Number 2, Wallace, we had done with the 3 options which your Lordships finished in Wallace para 14, just above 15. Since your Lordship has a view about notice and objections, almost 1/3 of my written submissions are notice and objections. So therefore, very little is left now. Let me go to para 15. My submissions, my Lord has got. Each of my Lord
would not follow.
Yes. Justice Kohli, Justice Paul has got it.
Yes. You're looking to your rejoinder submissions?
Yes, yes.
Which paragraph?
15, 1-5.
Yeah.
Yes, my Lord Justice Paul doesn't have it.
The rejoinder submissions. It starts with it would not follow from.
It will not. Correct. So the conclusion after the 3 options is.
Look for it. I haven't. Documents by Dr. Singh. Please start.
Yes, Dr. Singh.
15. It would not follow from this approach that non-heterosexual Hindu couples who marry under SMA would be excluded from legal succession regimes altogether. Like non-Hindu interfaith couples, they are governed by the ISA. This is because 21A on its own terms assumes that marriages that it applies to are also capable of being valid under HSA. Last 4 lines is the conclusion. Till the right of non-heterosexual couples to marry under HMA is adjudicated upon by this court or provided for by the legislature, non-heterosexual marriages simply do not meet the preconditions for the triggering of 21A. This is the exclusion of 21A, which was my 3rd option. I'm actually, if at all I'm forced to, I'd canvass the 2nd option, but I'm completing on the 3rd option. Each are your Lordship's choice, but the 2nd option would be one thing which your Lordship may see. Now I come to Wallace, 2 or 3 special cases and I'm done. very quickly. One is this heteronormative settings. That is a separate, discrete head. Kindly bear with me just for a few minutes in that. Women in particular, in heteronormative setting. Well, just before I read it, one sentence. We, on this side, me, is challenging only the exclusionary provisions. The whole thrust is exclusionary provisions, namely those which discriminate against me based on my ascriptive characteristics. Now read my para. In a nutshell, this subheading contends that several provisions of the SMA which attempt to create a protective arc for women in a heterosexual marriage, treating them as structurally the more vulnerable gender. In the old days, we used to call it the weaker sex, but that's not quite a correct word. Need not be interpreted in favor of either partner in a non-heterosexual marriage, which proceeds according to a gender-neutral approach. The stand of the petitioners fully answers and takes care of the respondents' wrongful contention that a gender-neutral approach to SMA defeats the purpose of certain provisions which are enacted to counter unique gendered situations. Example, rape, sexual violence. If the aforesaid gender-neutral approach of the petitioners, eschewing the sections dealing with preferential protective treatment of women under the SMA is accepted, the diverse contentions of the respondents, the other side, example those relating to section 27, would not arise. In that sense, this set of submissions by the respondents is either a red herring or attempts to set up a straw man in the name of the petitioners and then triumphantly shoot it down. Petitioners submit that these grounds and sections of the SMA, which deal with important gendered and heterosexual settings, namely the more vulnerable woman partner protection provisions, and legal protections, are not part of their prayer for marriage equality. The petitioners are not seeking interpretation of every gendered word in the SMA in a gender neutral way. We are only assailing those parts of the SMA that require a constitution compliant reading on grounds of discrimination and exclusion of non-heterosexual couples. It is you who are putting this in my mouth and say there is insuperable problem for the judges. I am not concerned with protective clauses or one-sided clauses like rape, etc., which will necessarily apply in a heteronormative setting. Hence, the focus of interpretation similarly has to be on the discriminatory aspects of the Act that are relevant to and exclude non-heterosexual couples. I'm on exclusion only. Those provisions that specifically deal with heteronormative settings